Star Wars has been called one of the greatest science fiction franchises of all time. But what if I told you it is actually science fantasy instead of science fiction? As you can see, I have a lot of examples of science fantasy here in Star Wars. This includes probably the most well-known, the Force, which lets you move objects, choke people, and lightning. Now, I also have to address the fantasy in Star Trek, and there's only one example, and that is the Prime Universe, an alternate universe in which you can use magic. There are some other unconfirmed elements, such as the Q and dilithium, that have the possibility of still being fantasy. In Star Trek, dilithium is a crystal that they use to power their warp engines. In reality, though, it's a gas of two bonded lithium atoms. However, it is possible that dilithium in Star Trek is just a name for the crystal, because it has been mentioned that there are multiple types. I also should talk about Arthur C. Clarke's Third Law, or Clarke's Third Law for short, and it states that technology advanced enough could seem like godlike powers, and one very good example are the Q. Now, the Q, though they look like humans, are actually very powerful. As you can see, this one in the bottom right has summoned a mariachi band, and has even claimed to be God before. Now you may be thinking, isn't Arthur C. Clarke's Third Law just turning science fiction into science fantasy? Well, Clarke's Third Law still only applies to very advanced technology, and since Star Trek is primarily science fiction, with the exception of that one parallel universe I mentioned earlier, I think it would be acceptable to assume that, until proved otherwise, elements that have the possibility of being fantasy are more likely science.